I'm going to beat Pokemon Platinum with only normal type Pokemon and moves. In addition to that, I'm banning the switch mode and items in battle. And any Pokemon that faints must be released immediately. This is my second Typelocke video, so if you have an idea for a challenge you want to see, let me know about it in the comments. But that's enough ado. Our journey begins with us trying to enter the tall grass with our rival, Barry. Honestly, I can't blame him. 100% of the Pokemon available right now are normal types. Professor Rowan stops us, interrogates us, then offers us a choice of starter. I choose Chimchar so that Barry takes Piplup. I think this will give us the biggest challenge, as Empoleon will resist our attacks. Barry wants to battle immediately, but I don't have a legitimate Pokemon right now. Chimchar just makes funny faces at Piplup while it bonks us enough to win the battle. Normally, this might be considered a failure, but I don't have an encounter, so I'm not counting it. To get my first encounter, I have to first meet Professor Rowan in Sand Gym Town. He forces us to keep Chimchar for now, gives us the Pokedex, and, most importantly, gives us the TM for return. This will be very useful soon. Once he leaves, we can head to the Pokemart to buy some Pokeballs. Now, the run can truly begin. I backtrack quickly to Route 201 into Lake Verity, where I catch Staraptor the Staraptor and Bilateral the Bidoof, respectively. My daughters have started randomly adding the letter L to words, so why not do the same here? Maybe I'll rebrand my channel to Blairy Nerd Corner. Anyway, with all the teammates I can catch with 0 badges, I can box Chimchar permanently. Or until I need him to break some rocks. I move on through Route 202, where I fight my first trainers of the run. Staraptor makes quick work of them, reaching level 9 and learning Wing Attack. Unfortunately, she can never attack with her wings, due to the limits of this challenge. Arriving in Jubilife City, I head immediately to the condos and pick up a quick claw from a kind woman. I give it to Bilateral, hoping it makes her quick enough to avoid death. There's not much else in Jubilife for us, so it's time to move on. Barry wants to battle as soon as we leave town, so I send Staraptor out to put him in his place. Just a few quick attacks take down both of his team members. Let's be real, I'm not worried about Barry right now. What I am worried about is Roark. We arrive in Oreburgh City, where the literal wall awaits. Between my two Pokemon, I currently only have 2 damage-dealing moves, Tackle and Quick Attack. Even with max friendship, it would take roughly 13 hits of return to defeat his team without overleveling. This is partially because Staraptor only has an IV of 5 in her attack stat. I try my luck first at level 17. Roark's first Pokemon is Geodude, and I lead with Staraptor. We use the first turn to set up, Roark with Stealth Rocks, and Staraptor with Double Team. The next turn, our first hit of return does nearly 50%, which is excellent. Staraptor manages to dodge the first Rock Throw before dropping Geodude deep into the red. However, he hits a Rock Throw, then Roark heals with a Potion. But I'd much rather the Potion come out now. 2 more hits of return easily defeat Geodude, which brings in Onix. The Rock Snake is much tankier than Geodude, taking about a quarter from return. He's also got good vision, hitting a Rock Throw immediately. I have to keep going, so Staraptor keeps going for return. The 2 Pokemon trade damage on the second turn, putting us in a tough spot. Now for the real gamble. Stall goes for 1 more return, and scores a critical hit! That was so clutch. Now, we just have to beat Cranidos. Luckily for me, Cranidos is built way more for offense than for defense. The first return takes away around 3/4 of his health, and fortunately for us, he misses his headbutt. That would have easily ended Staraptor's life. That means she can easily take out his remaining HP the following turn, defeating Roark on our first attempt. With our first badge, we return to Jubilife City on our way to Floaroma Town. There, I find Dawn and Rowan being accosted by some spacemen. So, Dawn and I challenge them and defeat their 2 Pokemon with ease. The spacemen run off, and I learn a bit about Rowan's research into evolution. When they leave, I quickly pass through Route 204 to reach Floaroma. But we quickly learn that the spacemen are back, having occupied the nearby wind farm. I scare off more of these men, even saving a beekeeper. The kind gentleman gives us some honey, which means I can search for my next encounter. After I slather a tree with honey, I have to wait at least 6 hours for a Pokemon to appear. Which works for me because I have 2 toddlers who need near constant supervision for about 12 hours of the day. But I can also save myself some headache by simply using PK Hex to generate my next encounter and plop it in the PC. Checking my inbox, I find Albipalm the Apom. I love this little Pokemon, and I'm still salty about how the anime handled Ash's Apom. They did my girl dirty. I grind Albi up a bit, during which Bilateral evolves into Bibarel. Now, let's move on. Back in the Valley Windworks, I challenge Mars to get rid of all the spacemen. She leads with the Zubat, and I send out Byron. Despite getting badly poisoned on turn 1, B is able to tackle the bat to death easily, taking more damage from poison than from Zubat's attacks. Mars's last Pokemon is an illegal Purugly. Quick, somebody call Officer Jenny! Anyway, I stay in with Byron to take the fake out before swapping to Staraptor. Thanks to Intimidate, Purugly can't deal much damage to us. And thanks to our max friendship, Staraptor can deal massive damage with Return. That means our bird kills the cat with only 2 hits, fending off all the spacemen for now. Again. Our next destination is Eterna City, which makes us pass through the forest of the same name. This is where we can get 2 new encounters. First is Buneary. Fun fact, Buneary is the only Pokemon to be caught with 0 friendships, prior to apparently low kicks in Scarlet and Violet. Most Pokemon start with 70 friendship upon capture, so this is very strange, especially for a Pokemon with a friendship evolution. Anyway, Buneary's name is Lopunny. Our second new encounter is Hoot Hoot. I catch the cute little owl and name him Locktowel. Lopunny also evolves into Lopunny after some quality time together. The team is coming together very well. But the team additions don't stop there. I arrive in Eterna City and can immediately trade a Buizel for a Chatot. This bird won't be that useful, but it's still a legal encounter. I could also visit Mount Coronet and find a Cleffa. Since this is Gen 4, I catch a little star and name her Cleflabel. Never mind that I misspelled her name. Definitely don't leave a comment about it. After some off-screen errands, I take our resident normies to the gym to earn our next badge. I bring out our newly evolved Locktowel, Lopunny, and our true starter Staraptor to this fight. Gardenia leads with her Turtwig. Unfortunately for her, all she can do is set up Reflect while Locktowel throws a temper tantrum and knocks her out with ease. Cherim replaces Turtwig and Locktowel finishes his tantrum. I decide to switch out, so I compare Lopunny and Staraptor's stats. They have identical attack and very similar speed. But Staraptor resists grass moves, so I choose her. Taking damage on entry, Stall is quick to retaliate with Return. But thanks to the earlier Reflect, it doesn't take out the Sunflower. But when that protection ends, Staraptor knocks her out the following turn. Though she's sitting at half health when Gardenia's Ace Roserade comes in. I command Staraptor to use Endeavor, cutting away half of Roserade's HP in a single blow. This also miraculously avoids proccing her held Citrus Berry. Roserade retaliates with Stun Spore, potentially crippling Staraptor. Roserade is faster as a result the next turn, and she's able to deal massive damage with Magical Leaf. Staraptor survives and even overcomes the paralysis to attack. She hits with Return, and it takes down Roserade with ease, defeating Gardenia and earning us a second badge. Before we move on, this video is brought to you by my Patreon. Head on over there if you want to give my channel a little extra support. There are 3 affordable levels of support, each with their own perks and benefits. I even intend to start recording bi-weekly list type videos to put there for extra content. Additionally, I've been trying to convince my wife to let me buy a soda stream so I can make drinks at home. So if we can get enough support on Patreon so I can do that, that would be fantastic. Let's get after it. So check out my Patreon if you can. Either way, let's get back to the video. Now that we can use Cut outside of battle, I have to kick a bunch of spacemen out of Eterna Galactic building. How did they even set up a building named after them in town? Absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, I find another admin named Jupiter on the top floor. I challenge her, bringing only Byron and Lopunny for fairness. I lead with the former against her Zubat. Byron sets up with Defense Curl while Zubat uses her unexpected Giga Drain? I completely forgot that it had that move. Oh well. She hits me twice with it, but it doesn't do much damage. Instead, Byron's headbutts take down the bat with 2 hits. The criminal sends out her own illegal ace, Skuntank, who immediately, brutally murders Byron with a crit Night Slash. This is our first death of the challenge. But we don't have time to mourn right now. We have to win this battle. So I send out Lopunny and start attacking with Return. Luckily, Jupiter just uses Screech a couple of times, giving our bunny ample time to defeat the skunk. The boss is defeated, but possibly at the cost of the whole run. I take a slow, pensive walk out of the building, reminiscing on all the good times I had with Byron. After a moment of silence, I bury Byron with his unused Pecha Berry. And now, we try to move on. To do that, we need to visit the bike shop. Cynthia approaches us and gives us a free egg as thanks for taking care of Team Galactic. I then grab my new bike and take a joyride around town until it hatches. Thankfully, again, this is pre-Gen 6, because Togepi is another normal type. I name him Togekliss, and now we have 2 more friendship evolutions to cause. Ah! I refill the team and head south down Cycling Road. I then turn east to pass through Mount Coronet and reach Heart Home City, home of our next encounter and gym. I head immediately to BB's house, where she gives us a gift, Eevee, whom I name Leevee. Unfortunately, he can't evolve, so he's mostly useless. He'll warm the bench until I need him, which might be never. Heading into the gym, we gotta face a bunch of ghost Pokemon who are famously immune to normal type moves. There are 2 moves that negate this immunity, Foresight and Odor Sleuth. I have 2 Pokemon with the former, but I think a little more preparation is in order. First, I stop by a condo to meet this kind lady, who gives us a souvenir from Hoenn, the Shell Bell. I then backtrack to the old chateau, where I find the TM for Substitute. This can absolutely break the battle with Fantina. Lastly, I have another encounter to find. But let's just cut to the chase. I want Munchlax. PK Hex actually tells me that I can find one on the honey trees on Route 205 and in Floaroma Meadow. But there's still a 1% encounter on those trees, which I can't even check until 6 real-life hours after I slather honey on them. So, to make my life easier, I generate a random one on PK Hex. So everyone, let's meet Slorlax, who requires another friendship evolution to become the big teddy bear we all know and love. Before I grind up and challenge Fantina, we need to talk about my rules. You see, Togekliss and Slorlax know the move Metronome. This is a normal type move that randomly selects another move to use. This creates a gray area given my rules. On the one hand, this could be a clever workaround, since Metronome is a normal type move. Plus, it's not necessarily an ace in the hole since it uses a random move. But for me, I'm banning the move. Since it officially uses the randomized move, I'm considering it a violation of the rules. But let me know in the comments what you think about it. While you do that, I'm going to challenge Fantina. She leads with Dusk Call, and I send out my best counter, Lopunny. She sets up a substitute to counter Fantina's AI. About 95% of the time, she still tries to inflict various status conditions, like burn, sleep, and confusion. This makes it super easy for Lopunny to lock in with Foresight and dominate with Return. Duskull falls to a single hit, then Haunter gets the same treatment. Oh, and I forgot to give Lopunny the Shell Bell, which would have easily gotten her back to full health. Oh well. Last is Fantina's ace, Mismagius. Turn 1, Lopunny hits with Foresight while Fantina tries to confuse my Pokédoll. Turn 2, Lopunny hits hard with Return, proccing Mismagius' Citrus Berry. Meanwhile, Fantina finally realizes she needs to hit my Pokemon, using Psybeam but still failing to break my sub. That means that, on turn 3, Lopunny can hit again with Return. This knocks out Mismagius and wins the battle, earning us our 3rd badge. I can now leave Heart Home and immediately get jumped by Barry. I'm not worried about this. Round 1 is Locktowl versus Staravia. I go for Uproar to make use of her greater and unchanged special attack and Staravia's lower special defense. However, Staravia sets up a double team which might bite us in the butt. Sure enough, Locktowl misses an Uproar as Staravia evens the playing field with Endeavor. Unfortunately, Staravia is faster, allowing him to move first and take down Locktowl with a wing attack. No, giving us our 2nd death. Lopunny comes in and avenges his death with ease, but we're left reeling from the loss. I need to take a break and bury our bird. After the services, I proceed to Route 209 where I can find my next encounter, Chansey. I've never used one of these in my life, and I don't see that changing this challenge. But we'll see. As we near Veilstone City, I run into this random Ruin Maniac. He has a Bronzor and a Shieldon, giving us a good glimpse at a future gym battle. Hopefully that fight will be as easy as this one. Also nearby, I can find our next encounter, Lickitung. I weaken her and catch her in a Pokeball. Her name is Licky Lickly, or Lickly for short, which is honestly the worst iteration of this line's names I've ever heard. Moving on. There are 2 more useful encounters in this challenge, and I can grab both of them right now. First, in Veilstone City, this random guy northeast of the Pokemon Center will give you a free Porygon. I named him Polygon, which is a perfect name. No notes. Second, we head to Valor Lakefront and immediately find Girafarig. She's a bit trickier, but eventually she stays in an Ultra Ball, which I just realized is the perfect color scheme for her. I'll name her Girafalig to keep that palindrome intact. With that, all our good encounters are caught. There are 2 more Pokemon that I can catch, but they're base forms that I can't evolve. So for now, we explore Veilstone City properly. The first major landmark is the department store. I can buy a ton of great offensive TMs here, but only Hyper Beam is useful for me. I can also get some setup moves and a move known as Natural Gift, which we have to talk about. Natural Gift consumes a held berry, and its damage and type vary depending on said berry. It's technically listed as a normal type move, but the damage could be of any type. Let me know in the comments what you think about it, but I'm banning it for this run for 2 primary reasons. 1, it's affected by Normalize, which tells me that the game considers the type to not be normal. Second, there is an option to use a Chiland Berry for normal damage. This would make some fights so much easier, but that's a no from me. I also visit this clown or Harlequin or whatever. He gives me a coin case so I can visit the game corner. This gives me access to some fantastic TMs. Giga Impact, Return, Swords Dance, but also Hidden Power, which we also kind of have to talk about, though this is a much simpler issue. The game lists it as a normal type move, but its damage type is anything but normal. And also fairy, but that's not relevant. So this one's also banned. With the city explored, it's time to grind up and take on the gym. We also get a bunch of evolutions. Porygon to Porygon 2, Chansey to Blissey, Aipom to Ambipom, and Clefairy to Clefable. I grab Gelaflig, Togekiss, and Albipom, and head in to battle Maylene. She leads with Meditite, and I choose Gelaflig. I set up a Reflect to make this fight even easier, and Meditite hits a soft Rock Tomb. Gelaflig is then able to curb stomp the Meditate Pokemon without taking any more damage. Maylene sends out her ace Lucario next, which isn't ideal. I immediately swap for Togekiss to save Jill's superior strength for later. He takes 2 Drain Punches, including a crit, before using Charm to cut Lucario's attack. Unfortunately, I make the mistake of going for Wish instead of another Charm, as Lucario is able to defeat Togekiss after 2 more hits. Then, when I bring in Albipom, our wish is never fulfilled, as he has full HP. Despite this, Albi uses his signature move, combined with his Technician ability, to deal reasonable damage. And because of Charm, Force Palm only deals about 1/3 of his HP. The next turn, another double hit leaves Lucario on like 2 HP, and Force Palm paralyzes Albi. This means that I need to switch. Luckily, I saved Jill for such a moment as this. She's even holding a Cherry Berry in case of paralysis. She takes a soft Drain Punch and retaliates with another double hit. This is enough to take out Lucario. And with that, we earn our 4th... Oh wait, Maylene has 1 more Pokemon. Her last Pokemon is Machoke. This fight actually goes basically the same as the one with Meditite. The draft sets up Reflect and takes some light damage on turn 1. The next turn, our Pokemon trade blows, leaving us both just below half health. Gelaflig hits another double hit on turn 3 and manages to dodge a Rock Tomb. This sets us up perfectly for a win, as I use Stomp to prevent an untimely miss. That defeats Maylene and wins our 4th badge. I honestly didn't think about this fight when I started this run, as I was preoccupied with Roark, Fantina, and Byron. But now we can coast for a bit, despite taking our 3rd loss. Speaking of, I bury Togekiss. Moment of silence for him. I also rebuild the team, making sure to grab Stallaptor and Lickly for their coming evolutions. I quickly help Dawn retrieve her Pokedex from some spacemen, then I can officially head south. Along the way, Lickly learns Rollout, which I can't use, and evolves into Licky Licky. Stallaptor also evolves into her final form. The new crew and I then roll into Pastoria City and head straight for the gym. This forces an encounter with Barry, whom I must destroy to avenge Locktowel. Albi is able to do that so easily, largely thanks to Swift. Because of Technician, the move is boosted from 60 to 90 base power. Her Fancy Scarf boosts that by 20% to 108, which is equal to max power return. Then Stab bumps that to a whopping 162 power. No wonder it deals such massive damage even with Albi's base 60 special attack. Mathematics aside, Barry runs away defeated, freeing us up to challenge the next gym leader, Crasher Wake. Crasher's first Pokemon is a Gyarados, and I lead with Albipom. To get around Intimidate, the best Gen 4 monkey uses Swift, which scores a crit and nearly one-shots the wannabe dragon. Honestly, Double Hit might do more damage since Albi's attack is so much higher than his special attack. Regardless, Albi takes more damage than I'd like from a waterfall, so I use Crasher's healing turn to swap for Stallaptor. She intimidates Gyarados on entry, tanks a waterfall reasonably well, and takes down the Sea Serpent with a couple of returns. Mr. Wake then escalates the fight by sending out his ace Floatzel. Predicting an Ice Fang, I switch to my super tanky and blubbery Snorlax. He easily tanks 2 hits from the Weasel and then obliterates him with the power of friendship. Last is Quagsire, who manages to crit and confuse Snorlax with Water Pulse. I guess that balances out my 2 lucky crits. Fortunately for me, Snorlax doesn't hit himself. Unfortunately for Crasher, I use Giga Impact to completely annihilate his final Pokemon. Good try, buddy. Leaving the gem, Barry tells us that a spaceman was visiting the local swamp, which is not what they should be doing. They should be in space. Anyway, you know how this part goes. An act of terrorism, a 10-year-old vigilante pursuing the terrorist, Big Pharma curing Psyduck's hereditary headaches, fog, and a confrontation with Mr. Spaceman himself. Mr. Spaceman only has 3 Pokemon right now, Sneasel, Golbat, and Murkrow. All 3 are easy 2-hit knockouts with return. Ignore that Lopunny ended the fight with only 8% of her health. It was easy, trust me. I quickly head to Candice City where we have 2 major battles. First is against Barry again. The full fight is available in the Patreon version of this video. Barry's Ace Empoleon is really the only Pokemon worth showing. I choose Snorlax to fight the Penguin. Bubble Beam takes about 20% of the bear's health, then Return claps back for about 33%, meaning that I mathematically can't lose. Sure enough, 2 turns later, Snorlax defeats Empoleon without much difficulty. The next fight, though, is a different story. Remember when I said this? The boss is defeated, but possibly at the cost of the whole run. Yeah, my plan A against Byron was using Belarel's Super Fang to circumvent his Pokemon's insane defenses. But with him long gone, I grab my B team and head to Iron Island for a training arc. As a bonus, I pick up the HM for strength from Riley. Riley also gives us a free egg after we finish our training with him. After running around a lot, the egg hatches into Riolu. Now, this isn't an eligible encounter, but I'm gonna name him Blarkin after fan of the channel and Patreon supporter, Mr. Barkin. It's one of his favorite fighting Pokemon, so I had to include it. Now, without further ado, I lead with Albipalm against Byron's Magneton. We both start with some setup, Albi with Nasty Plot and Magneton with Metal Sound. With his boosted power, Albi hits Magneton with a very strong Swift. Magneton claps back with Thunderbolt, which deals massive damage, and takes Albipalm down with 1 shot. This one hurts. I bring in Jalaphalig and hit with Secret Power. However, Byron heals before she can hit, meaning the triplets are still standing. Byron then swaps Magneton out for his ace Bastiodon, which is not good. Luckily, I brought Jalaphalig in for such a moment as this. First, Jill uses Guard Swap to steal the dinosaur's base 168 defense and 138 special defense. She then just growls, like a lot, at the dinosaur. This cuts the wall's defenses and offense down to a more manageable level. What's so funny is that Bastiodon knows Taunt, so it could put a stop to the humiliation at any time. Bastiodon does have Iron Defense, so I have to swap out and back in to steal his stats again. Eventually, Byron does remember that his Pokemon knows Taunt, but I've lowered his attack to its lowest possible level. Jill then hits with Secret Power and gets a lucky paralysis on the first hit. Now, with all our setup complete, I can swap for my ace in the hole, Snorlax. First, a bit of setup. Snorlax uses Belly Drum to maximize his attack. I then use Protect every other turn to maximize Leftovers recovery, and I use Rest a couple times to maximize my Teddy's longevity. With all my setup done, Return does just over 50% of Bastiodon's health, despite its quad resistance. It ultimately requires 3 hits to take it out, plus a bunch of stalling turns to regain health. Unfortunately for Byron, that was his best chance at defeating me. Return nearly one-shots his next Pokemon, Steelix, on the first hit. Then the second hit gets a higher roll and takes it out despite the Hyper Potion. And last is Magneton, who just screams in dial-up as Snorlax absolutely destroys him. This honestly disappoints me because just a lower damage roll from Thunderbolt would have given us a deathless win. But that's Nuzlocke for you. With our 6th badge in hand, I head to the Pokemon Center to bury Albi. A moment of silence, please. Wiping the tears from my eyes, I meet Rowan, Barry, and Dawn at the library. We hear about another act of terrorism, and once again, I have to investigate it. Me, a 10-year-old pretending to be a 32-year-old. Our investigation takes us to the cavern at Lake Valor, where we find and battle Commander Saturn. He leads with Golbat and I choose Lickley. I set up immediately with Swords Dance, which allows Lickley to one-shot both Golbat and the subsequent Toxicroak. Saturn's Bronzor manages to survive one hit, but it's a Bronzor. It's never going to sweep my team. Imagine doing a solo run with just Bronzor. That could be a wild challenge. Anyway, Saturn is defeated, and now I have to go back to Lake Verity. Once there, we find more spacemen, because of course we do. But we handle them and the returning Commander Mars the same way, Swords Dancing Lickley. We then learn from Mars that they've captured 3 legendary Pokemon for whatever their nefarious purposes are. Now, we have to head to the 3rd lake and check on Barry. Oh look, there he is. Guess I'll need to get the next batch to help him out. So let's do just that right now. Candice begins with a Sneasel and I choose Lopunny. She deals massive damage with Return and takes a soft hit from Feint Attack. This forces Candice to use her Hyper Potion immediately. 2 more hits take down Sneasel, heal Lopunny a bit, and bring in a Abomasnow. This sets up an unending hail. Lopunny cuts some HP and puts up a substitute, which takes a nasty Focus Blast. A second sub manages to avoid a second Focus Blast, which is exactly what I was hoping for. Lop uses her last turn to hit a strong Return before her sub is broken and her HP is dropped into the red. I swap in my beefiest boy Snorlax, who takes a single Avalanche before finishing off the Snowman. Candice sends out Piloswine, so I swap again because Snorlax is invaluable for later. Clefable comes in and I remember that she can avoid hail damage thanks to her Magic Guard ability. As a result, she has enough endurance to hit at least one Return. Piloswine then decides to use Stone Edge instead of Earthquake, which is an objectively bad play. Clefable still has enough HP to make another attack, knocking out Piloswine, and this brings out Candice's ace Frostlass, so I switch to Snorlax. Snorlax can then use Foresight to negate her immunity. It also negates her insane evasion from stacking Double Team with Snow Cloak. His thick fat and high special defense also mean that he doesn't take much damage from perfectly accurate blizzards. Add leftovers to that, and you've got a recipe to absolutely destroy this insane ace. Until that happens. Out of options, I swap to my only healthy Pokemon, Lickley. He easily takes a couple of hits from Psychic before clapping back with another Return. This knocks out Frostlass's remaining HP, winning us the battle without a single death. One more badge to go. Until then, we have to check on Barry at Lake Acuity. He's been beaten by Jupiter, who taunts us before heading back to the space station in Veilstone. Barry laments his weakness and vows to become stronger. While he undergoes a training arc, we've got to fight some more spacemen. This leads us to a rematch with Cyrus. Since we're fighting him again soon, this battle is exclusive to the Patreon version of this video, so head over there to check it out if you're interested. We also challenged Saturn for the second time, but our strategy is the same as before. Swords Dance and Return with Lickley. I get a couple of lucky Quick Claw procs to make it easier, but Lickley is just goated here. After that battle, we get to push the button and free the Lake Trio. Now we have to climb Mount Coronet to finish this little story arc. This requires emptying one slot for my HM Pokemon. HM in this case stands for Helpful Monkey. I'll leave Jill behind because she's weak to most of Cyrus's final team. At the summit, we have a tag battle against Mars and Jupiter. Barry and I lead with Munchlax and Lickley against a pair of Bronzor. This means that I can set up 2 Swords Dances, powering up Lickley to unprecedented levels. I then eliminate Munchlax to restore a bit of HP, bring in a useful Pokemon from Barry, and waste a Return and Reflect. Then Lickley starts destroying. She easily takes down Bronzor, Purugly, Golbat, Bronzor again, and Golbat again. However, the long battle with bad poison means she's likely dead to Skuntank. So I flex on Barry by sending out Snorlax, who wraps up the battle easily. Cyrus has used this time to mess with the space-time continuum, which led to him being dragged into an alternate dimension. The Lake Trio traces him, so Cynthia and I follow. Oh yeah, Cynthia's here. Not to help, no. Just to look like she's doing her job. She dubs this alternate dimension the Distortion World, then leaves a 10-year-old to navigate it alone. After solving the puzzles, we confront Cyrus for our final battle with him. His first Pokemon is Houndoom, so I choose Snorlax for his literal and figurative bulk. Houndoom inflicts a burn with Will-O-Wisp, but a held Rostberry cures that immediately. Without the attack reduction, Snorlax easily puts Houndoom in the dirt with Return. Cyrus sends out Gyarados, so I intimidate him with Stallaptor before bringing in Lickley, who has absolutely been carrying lately. She has enough bulk to take 3 solid hits without batting an eye, and enough power to 2-shot the fake dragon with return. So far so good. Third is Cyrus's Honchkrow, so once again, I bring in Stallafter for intimidation. She then hits hard with return and recovers a bit of HP with her shell necklace. That gives her just enough health to survive a second Night Slash. Cyrus then wastes a full restore, giving Stallafter an opening to take down his big bird. He then sends out his ace Weavile, so I swap to Lickley, who I guess is basically my ace. She hits hard and takes a lot of damage from Ice Punch. But like Stallafter, Lickley stands her ground with just enough HP to take down Weavile with a second return. What an absolute champ! Oh, last is Crobat, so I counter with Clefable. Her Magic Guard will prevent poison damage, which is exactly what I need. Her return takes out just under half of Crobat's health before she gets confused. Fortunately for me, Clefable disregards confusion for, 3 or 4 turns? Long enough to force Cyrus to use another full restore. After getting confused again, Clefable does hit herself one more time, but she's still too strong for Crobat to handle, taking him down literally the next turn, and winning the battle. With the Spacemen defeated for good, now we have to defeat Giratina, King of Pokehell. Cynthia heals my team, which is nice, but otherwise, again, she's just here to look nice. I challenge the spooky dragon with Snorlax. This is because I need to use Odor Sleuth to even hit the dragon. Once that's done, I can slowly crush Giratina with heavy hits from return. A nice cooldown after that intense battle with Cyrus. I escape from the Distortion World and cross Route 222 to reach Sunny Shore City for the last gym. We immediately meet Flint, a good friend of Volkner. He wants us to beat up his buddy to make him enjoy battling again? You got it, dude. This battle starts like the prior one with Cyrus, coincidentally. The first round is Jolteon versus Snorlax. Jolteon hits a Thunder Wave, but a held Cherry Berry cures that immediately. Then a single return puts that pup in the ground, probably right next to that Houndoom. Volkner sends out his Raichu and shoots a Focus Blast, but Snorlax endures that hit with ease and then puts that rat in the ground, probably right next to Jolteon. Third is Electivire. Snorlax stays in and gets just punched straight in the face, but he also suplexes the whatever the heck that monster is. We have comparable HP now, but a high roll on the next hit could defeat our beefy boy. So I send out Lickley, our beefy girl. She takes 2 punches in the face, then takes out Electivire, leaving Volkner with 1 Pokemon, Luxray. The dog bites Lickley, who retaliates with a critical hit return. Unfortunately, she just misses the kill, which is equally disappointing and funny. The next turn, Volkner uses a full restore, while Lickley hits another return for about half of Luxray's health. So if I high roll again, Lickley could win this next turn. Or she could crit again and absolutely destroy him, earning our final badge. Licky is quickly rising in the ranks as my favorite Pokemon. Well, there's not much left of the game, so I'm going to procrastinate covering the league by showing that I crossed Route 223 and climbed a waterfall. Such anticipation. Oh look, Victory Road, another waterfall, and the Pokemon League, where Barry wants to challenge us one last time. But let's cut to the chase. Staraptor, Heracross, and Roserade all fall to single hits from Polygon, Stallaptor, and Lopunny. That leaves 3 interesting matchups. Well, at least kinda interesting. First is Snorlax versus Rapidash. Despite getting burned, he still deals half damage with Rock Climb, since I forgot to teach him Return again. That means he's able to beat the Unicorn easily, though he ends up on only 37 HP by the end of it all. The second matchup is Stallaptor versus Snorlax. Stall uses Endeavor to knock Snorlax down a few notches. She then takes a Body Slam before knocking out the teddy bear on the following turn. The last matchup is everyone versus Empoleon. Lopunny gets off a single attack before tapping out. Lickley manages to hit twice, though that puts Empoleon in range of Torrent, which is not good. Polygon comes in and finishes the battle with Tri-Attack. Barry makes us promise not to lose to anybody before leaving. I'll do my best, buddy. Before I finalize my team and movesets for the league, I have one more encounter to catch. I fly back to Route 210 and run around to find Swablu. I can't evolve him, but I still catch him and name him Slablu. With that, I evolve Polygon into Porygon Z, I level up to Cynthia's level cap of 62, and relearn a bunch of moves. Here's the final team. Stallaptor with Return, Quick Attack, and Endeavor. Polygon with Tri-Attack, Nasty Plot, Recover, and Conversion 2. Snorlax with Return, Odor Sleuth, Protect, and Belly Drum. Lickly with Return, Swords Dance, Ring Out, and Disable. Girafalig with Return, Agility, Baton Pass, and Guard Swap. And Lopunny with Return, Baton Pass, Foresight, and Agility. Let's get after it. First up is Aaron, Master of Bug Pokemon. The only noteworthy Pokemon he has is Scizor, as it resists all my moves. When he comes out, I bring in Staraptor to cut his attack with Intimidate. I then cut his HP with Endeavor, setting us up for an easy dub. Lickly tags in when Stall's HP gets too low. Then, after setting up a Swords Dance, a single return takes out Scizor and defeats Aaron. Second is Bertha and her ground Pokemon. But Polygon sets up not one, not two, but 3 nasty plots, and then obliterates all her Pokemon in a single shot each. Good try. We face Flint third, who uses fire types. Unfortunately, even his ace Infernape doesn't stand a chance. In fact, he takes himself out with Flare Blitz Recoil without even defeating Staraptor. From there, Snorlax is able to devour the rest of his team like an afternoon snack. Last of the E4 is Lucian. As with Bertha, Polygon sets up and obliterates his team. Bronzong does survive a single hit, but they're unable to slow Poly down for more than a turn. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. Me and my normies versus Cynthia and her absolutely stacked team. One way or another, this challenge will be done after this battle. Cynthia leads with the mysterious Spiritomb. Luckily, I have Lopunny to do some setup with Foresight and then Agility. She then baton passes that boosted speed to Polygon, who takes a Dark Pulse on entry. All according to plan. Poly uses Conversion 2 to become a Steel type, which means they'll resist all of Spiritomb's moves. That gives me the time to set up 3 nasty plots, with an occasional recover for good measure. After those boosts, a single Tri-Attack takes down Spiritomb and puts me in the lead. And Cynthia immediately threatens my entire run with her second Pokemon, Lucario. Poly hits another Tri-Attack, which just barely misses the KO. They should have been holding the Silk Scarf, but because they weren't, they fall to Aura Sphere, ruining Plan A for this battle. Since she's already injured, I send out Lopunny to score a free hit while Cynthia heals. But then Cynthia breaks the tie, defeating Lopunny with extreme speed. My next best counter is Staraptor, so I bring her out. We trade hits, return for Aura Sphere, and both attacks deal half of each Pokemon's remaining health. Luckily for us, Stall is faster, so a second return defeats Lucario, resurrecting my hope in winning this challenge. Third is Togekiss, who also has Aura Sphere, so I go for broke. Staraptor hits with Giga Impact for massive damage, but Togekiss is so tanky that he survives, and Staraptor falls immediately. Girafalig comes out for, I think, the first time in the Pokemon League. She sets up with Agility and Guard Swap before passing those boosts to Snorlax. Though this might have reduced Snorlax's defense, I'm not entirely sure how Guard Swap and Baton Pass interact. Regardless, Snorlax is able to handle Aura Sphere pretty well and clap back with Return for massive damage. She stalls for a turn with Protect to get double Leftovers recovery before taking down Togekiss with a second return. Cynthia sends out her ace Garchomp. Yikes. After another Protect turn, I just full send it. It's my only chance, and it works! Dragon Rush misses the giant target, and then Return scores a critical hit to take down the pseudo-legendary with a single hit. Let's keep it going. My Milotic comes out and wastes a turn with Mirror Coat. What a dummy. She then hits a soft surf before falling to a second hit from Snorlax. That leaves Cynthia with just Roserade, who falls to a single shot of Return. What an absolute roller coaster! This challenge was a lot of fun. I think it had a good balance and a good level of difficulty. I mean, sure, I overleveled, I think, twice for 2 gym leaders. Everyone was packing Return by the mid-game, but I still had to get clever with setup moves. Like, I never would have used Guard Swap before. Or Conversion 2? That move's been run forever, and I've never even thought about using it until this run. But I had to get clever with those, with moves, with abilities, and even items to eke out some of these victories. And honestly, I'm loving these Typelocke challenges. This is only my second, but this has been so much fun. I'm leaning towards Pokemon Black 2 or Pokemon Emerald, possibly Heart Gold Soul Silver. So if you have an idea, please let me know in the comments. I am actually in the process of moving from Texas to Indiana. That's a whole long story. If you want more details, go check out my Patreon. So there may be a bit of a lull as I take a week or two to get moved and get settled before I really get back into the swing of things. But let me know what you liked about this video, what ideas you have for future challenges. And that's it for this one. Thanks so much to my Patreon supporters for going above and beyond to support my channels. Right now, that's only Mr. Barkin. Hopefully that is more people in the coming future because I love doing this and will continue doing it. But if you like this video, check out the video on screen. Mr. Algorithm at YouTube thinks you'll like it. Make sure you subscribe for new releases and give this video a thumbs up if you want to see more like it. Until next time. Later, nerds.